Welcome to Plot Twist, your place for quick summaries of movies with jaw-dropping twists. Let's dive in. The second part begins in 1421 in a kingdom called Ayutthaya. We see a knight taking the crown prince, Tien, while the kingdom's guards are chasing the knight to capture Tien. The knight throws Tien aside and continues his escape, unaware that the emperor's guards are waiting for him on the road. They shoot him with arrows and kill him. The leader of the guards orders his men to search for Tien. The next day, slave traders find Tien sleeping in the forest. They capture him and put him in a cage. Afterward, they take him to their gathering place for slaves, where they sell them to the highest bidder. They open the cage and release all the young captives, including Tien, but Tien fights them and tries to free himself. The gang leader, Max, becomes furious with Tien and orders him to be thrown into the crocodile lake. Tien picks up a stone from the ground and hides it with him. The criminals take Tien, pour a large amount of blood on him, and then take him to the crocodile lake. Tien strikes Max in the eye with the stone, which enrages Max, who immediately throws Tien into the lake. They open the gate that releases the crocodile. Tien becomes anxious, finds a stick, and tries to stab the crocodile while in the water but fails. The crocodile attacks him, and Tien struggles to save his life while the criminals watch and enjoy the scene. Tien tries to get out, but they step on his hand and prevent him from escaping. Suddenly, the pirate leader appears and starts attacking the place. His men kill the criminals and blow up the location. The criminals are caught off guard by the ambush and are unable to defend themselves, dying one after another. Max manages to escape. As for Tien, he is still struggling with the crocodile. The pirate leader tells Tien, "You must save your own life," and throws him a dagger to help him. Tien takes the dagger and fights the crocodile. After a few moments, the crocodile's face emerges from the water with the dagger embedded in it. Thus, Tien manages to kill the crocodile. The pirate leader is pleased and decides to take Tien with him. When Tien wakes up, he finds himself in a tent with his injuries treated. The pirate leader appears before him and says to his father, "This is the boy I told you about. The way and courage he used to kill the crocodile made me feel he will become a great fighter." The father places his hand on Tien and reads his future, saying, "This boy will have a great destiny, and everyone will fear him because he will become a powerful fighter." The pirate leader introduces himself to Tien, saying, "My name is Cher. If you want to learn martial arts, stay in the village." Tien initially walks away but is intrigued by the villagers, as they were skilled in fighting, archery, and making bombs. He is greatly impressed by them and decides to stay in the village to learn martial arts and piracy. They begin to teach him combat, the use of swords, and weapon tricks. Tien learns all types of martial arts. Cher tells him, "From now on, remember that you are one of us." As Tien grows older, he waits for a herd of elephants to arrive. He mounts the first elephant, controls it, and tames it. All the elephants bow to Tien. Tien returns to the village, and Cher gives him some tests to determine his level. Tien enters a sword combat test, showing great speed and focus. The opponent tries to defeat him, but Tien outpaces him and places the sword on his neck. After defeating that opponent, another fighter enters for a hand-to-hand combat test. Both show great skill in hand-to-hand combat. Tien manages to knock him down once, and the opponent tries to retaliate but fails. Tien knocks him down again, and the opponent leaves after losing. A third, much stronger fighter enters and attacks Tien fiercely. Tien blocks his attacks and tries to knock him down several times but struggles. Eventually, Tien overpowers him, knocks him down, and forces him to surrender. Cher is thrilled with Tien's victory. Later, Tien goes to a cave to test his mental strength. He sees a little girl asking for help. Tien extends his hand to her, saying, "Don't be afraid, I will help you." But suddenly, the girl attacks Tien, revealing her martial arts skills. Tien struggles against her. Cher appears and makes the fight even harder for Tien by throwing a dagger to the girl. However, Tien manages to defeat her and wins. Cher tells Tien, "Killing or mercy is the last resort you should turn to." Afterwards, Cher addresses his people, announcing that Tien will take his place as the leader of the pirates and will lead all their raids. Tien then organizes an ambush on a convoy belonging to the emperor. Tien's men drop trees on the convoy, delaying them. Tien charges at the emperor's men and bravely fights them alone. Tien's men emerge from the trees and water, attacking the emperor's soldiers. The emperor's men are defeated because they were caught off guard and unprepared. Tien triumphs over them with minimal effort and steals the Ongbak statue from the convoy. When Tien sees the statue, he remembers his childhood when he and his family left their village for another one due to a rebellion targeting his father, Siaha. Certain people wanted to kill him. It is revealed that Siaha was the leader of the emperor's army, and Tien, when he grows up, will become the rightful ruler of the country, taking the emperor's place. Siaha decides to leave Tien with the priest Boya, saying, "You are the only one I trust to leave my son with." Tien's mother cries and asks him to take care of Tien. The priest Boya assures them, "Don't worry, leave your son with me and I will protect him." Afterward, Tien's parents leave. Tien enters the village and meets a girl named Pam, who was also raised by the priest Boja. Tien tells her about himself and his father, saying, "I want to become a skilled fighter and learn martial arts." Meanwhile, Max and the slave traders gang continue to capture homeless people, selling them as slaves for gold and food. Max took the mother out of the slave cage and separated her from her son, but when she hurt Max in the face, he became furious and kept hitting her until suddenly someone threw a clay plate at him. Enraged, Max demanded to know who did did it and started searching for the culprit, eventually grabbing someone and attempting to strangle him with water. However, this person fought back, grabbing Max dangerously by the neck. Teng appeared, seeking revenge on Max for kidnapping him when he was young, and though Max's men tried to fight Teng, they were powerless against him. No longer the weak little boy, Teng defeated Max by striking him in the chest and took down more than 20 men with ease. As Max's men raised their weapons, Max begged Teng for mercy, offering gold and slaves in exchange for his life, but Teng reminded him of how he had once thrown him into the crocodile lake. Max suddenly realized that Teng was the boy who had hit him with a brick long ago, and Teng ordered his men to throw Max into the lake and free all the slaves. As Teng watched a mother hug her son, he was overcome with sadness, remembering how he had lost his own mother. While his men celebrated the victory over the slave traders, Teng sat alone, lost in memories, this time recalling his farewell to Bam before leaving the village with the knight Khan, who worked for Siha. Before leaving, Teng threw a bracelet to Bam so she would remember him, but as they rode, Teng was shocked to discover that Khan was betraying Siha and kidnapping him. A loyal knight of Siha confronted Khan, accusing him of treason, but during the chaos, running toward him, causing Khan to fall from his horse, and the two knights perished together. Meanwhile, Siha's house was set on fire by Emperor Raja and his men, who sought to find and kill Teng. Raja shot Siha in the chest with an arrow, just as Tanj arrived and witnessed the scene from afar. Raja declared that he would kill Siha as he had killed the priest Boya. Tanj's mother, running after her husband, was also shot and killed, leaving Tanj devastated, but a loyal knight managed to keep him quiet as Raja's men passed by. When Raja ordered his men to chase Tanj, the knight took him and fled to protect him, but in the end, Raja's men caught up and killed the knight with arrows. Tanj, haunted by the past, vowed revenge against Emperor Raja and sought out Sher, who supported his decision, promising that his place among the pirates would be reserved until his return. Ting is pleased with his words and thanks him. The next morning, he mounts his horse and sets off. On the other side, Emperor Raja throws a party in his palace. Among the concubines at the party is Bam, Ting's childhood friend, who ended up as a concubine for King Raja. After her performance, Ting appears wearing a mask and performs an acrobatic show to avoid being recognized. He continues performing tricks, waiting for the right moment to attack. He uses fire tricks he learned in Sher's village. When the right moment comes, he throws bombs at the guards and the emperor, fights the emperor's guards, and stabs Raja in the stomach with a dagger, saying, "This is for killing Tommy." He then removes his mask, reveals himself, and strikes Raja in the back with a sword, saying, "This is for killing my father, Captain Siha." Bam hears the name and realizes it's Ting. Ting believes Emperor Raja is dead. Though the guards attack Ting, he manages to deal with them and defeats them all. Bam watches Ting longingly as he escapes and returns to Sher's village. But strangely, no one is there. The village is empty, as if abandoned. Suddenly, a fighter appears. At first, Ting fights fiercely and angrily, seeking revenge for his father's killer. The masked man struggles to fight Ting, but Ting overpowers him. Suddenly, another masked person appears on the roof. Emperor Raja's men attack Ting, but he kills them and heads toward the masked man on the roof. However, more of the emperor's men appear, delaying him. Ting, skilled in all martial arts, anticipates their attacks and defeats them, fighting two at a time. He uses Muay Thai techniques, defeating two opponents at once with skill, breaking their bones and clearing his path. Finally, he confronts the second masked man. However, Ting is completely exhausted from all the battles he has fought. The masked man manages to strike him, sending him flying back. Ting's body is covered in injuries. He applies sand to his wounds to stop the bleeding. A large army of Raja's men arrives, and Ting bravely fights them, defeating them one by one. However, more men arrive. A giant enters the battle, intimidating the emperor's men. Ting takes a brief rest before returning to fight with all his strength, using every skill he has learned. He then mounts an elephant to leave, but a sorcerer attacks him, targeting his injuries and delivering powerful strikes to dangerous areas. Ting, severely weakened, falls off the elephant. The sorcerer takes control of the elephant, subduing it. Ting is again exposed to fighters. Using his last ounce of strength, he fights them and kills them. However, more soldiers arrive, and Raja himself, who turns out to be alive, appears. Raja had worn armor that protected him from the stab wounds. Raja orders his men not to tire themselves with fighting, as a specific fighter will kill Ting. This fighter turns out to be Sher. Raja reveals to Ting that Sher was the one who killed Siha. Ting is shocked and cannot believe that his mentor and father figure was his real father's killer. Raja taunts Ting, urging him to kill Sher if he dares. Sher tells Raja he will fulfill their agreement by killing Ting in exchange for sparing his family. Sher provokes Ting, admitting he killed his father. He overpowers Ting and could kill him, but finds it hard to kill the boy he raised and trained. Sher tells Ting he cannot kill him and urges him to take revenge for his father by killing him. Ting does so, avenging his father's death. However, he screams in anger over this fate. Raja orders his men to capture Ting and torture him to death as an example to others. They bind Ting tightly to prevent his escape. Raja commands that Ting endure 13 different types of torture until he dies. Ting is unbound and collapses from exhaustion. They chain his hands and begin the first form of torture, beating him with sticks. Ting endures the blows without being able to defend himself. The sticks break break on his body from the force of the beating. They then strangle him with the sticks. Raja orders them to break every bone in Ting's body until he dies and joins his father in hell. Ting, angered by these words, gathers some of his strength, throws them off, breaks the chains, and kills them. At first, Ting displays incredible combat skills, taking their weapons and defeating them with powerful strikes. Despite his injuries, he dominates them. More soldiers arrive to stop Ting, and unfortunately, they overwhelm him and knock him unconscious. They tie him to a wooden post and whip him. Ting feels immense pain. While the magician who was fighting Ting was performing magic rituals and trying to bewitch the village priest, the priest was able to expel the magic from his body and then shaves his hair and decides to focus on religious teachings and meditation. As for Raja, he was sitting on his throne and thinking about when he got rid of the previous emperor and put poison in his drink. And the previous emperor said to him, "I curse you because of what you did to me, and you will not live a happy life, and your life will be miserable beyond your imagination, and a fighter will destroy you and take your place." Suddenly, Raja finds blood coming out of his head, and the throne he is sitting on is destroyed, and they reconcile, and in front of his palace were the people of Sher village killing Raja's men, and their goal was to liberate Ting, but Raja's men outsmart them, and the magician enters and kills the people of Sher village and uses his methods in magic and kills them all. Raja bows to the magician and says to him, "You are a great fighter and you are unparalleled. Come work with me and I will give you everything you dream of." And he throws him a bag of gold as a reward for what he did. But the magician told him, "I don't want gold or anything, and I know that you have been suffering from nightmares lately, but what you don't know is that these nightmares are a curse and will haunt you all your life. The one who put this curse on you was Tang, and I am the only one who can break this curse. Tang is the fighter who can destroy your entire kingdom, just as the old emperor warned you." Raja is terrified and believes everything the magician says and orders Tang to be killed tomorrow. The next day, the people of the Ira village gather to watch Tang's execution. But before the executioner cuts off Tang's head, a messenger arrives from the palace of the king of the kingdom with a message for Raja. He passes by and doesn't kill Tang because Tang is a brave fighter and didn't do anything. Raja reads the message and is reluctant to kill Tang. He was upset and wanted to know who was the traitor who informed the king that he had Tang locked up with him. He suspected his ministers, but Raja came to him. Hallucinations, and he believes that the ministers are passing by him and want to kill him. So Raja, while he is unconscious, kills one of the ministers, and when he wakes up, he discovers that he killed the minister, and his sword is stained with blood. He looks at the sky, and there are many crows, and he does not understand the reason for their presence. While the king's messenger takes Tang to the nearest village and asks the village doctor to treat Tang. It turns out that the village doctor is Bam, and Bam believes when she sees the injuries that Tang was exposed to. Suddenly, Raja's soldiers storm the place, masked, to kill Tang. They were careful that no one knows that they are Raja's men, but the king's soldiers confronted them and killed them forcefully. A fierce sword battle took place between them, and soldiers died on both sides. In the end, the king's soldiers and the emperor's soldiers died, and the king's soldiers sacrificed their lives for Tang while Tang and Bam were alive. Bam took Tang to the priest, and the priest told Bam that Tang's condition is bad. "Very much so, but I will try to treat him with some medicinal herbs, and I want you and the people of the village to pray for Tang to recover, because the chance of Tang surviving is very small." Bam and the people of the village throw all their belongings into the fire, and this was part of their prayer rituals. Even Bam throws the bracelet she took from Tang, and after a week, they remove the wrappings from Tang, and indeed, Tang wakes up and recovers from the wounds he had. But the problem is that he suffered paralysis in his limbs to the point that he could not stand on his feet, and Tang was at the peak of grief, and whenever Bam passes by, she leaves him sitting alone. And at night, Tang was trying to walk, and Petso reaches the edge of the mountain. He wanted to commit suicide because he felt hopeless about his life while reaching the village temple, and he wanted to do what Tang had done. Petso was sad when he realized that he was going to commit suicide while reaching the priest and telling Tang that the crazy person knows that suicide is wrong, and yet you want to commit suicide. Tanji responds to him and says, "My life is worthless." The priest tells him to look at the sun as it drives away the darkness and appears. "Know that no matter how dark there is always light, and hold on to the hope that you will return to the way you were." He urges Ting to hold on to hope and seek solitude for meditation. Inspired by the priest's words, Ting goes to a cave, reflecting on what Emperor Raja did to his parents. He spends a long time meditating and practicing exercises to regain his strength. Eventually, he stands on his own without a crutch and intensifies his training to restore his fitness. Ben joins him and teaches him dance techniques to help him regain his agility. Ting is happy to have her by his side, hugging her and thanking her for everything. He thanks the priest for saving him from suicide and supporting him. He was open to change. Things like anger, greed, lust, ignorance, and desire. Be cautious of these because they are the cause of anyone's suffering and hinder anyone from their life. Ting asked how to avoid these traits. The monk told him, "Through training your mind and meditation, let your mind be the driver of your body, and your body merely a servant to your thoughts, and never let your body and desires control you." Ting listened to his words intently, then went into meditation and isolation, training his mind properly to be ready to fight Raja. Raja. He continued this routine for many weeks, and after training his mind, he began training his body, practicing martial arts as he used to. Day by day, Ting regained his strength and remembered everything he had learned. Meanwhile, Raja went to the sorcerer's house to cure him of hallucinations and nightmares. He entered the sorcerer's house alone. The sorcerer met him and cast a curse on Raja. Raja asked him what he wanted exactly. The sorcerer told him, "I want to become the emperor in your place." Raja was shocked and realized that the sorcerer was the one who had bewitched him from the beginning. He tried to resist the curse and kill the sorcerer, but Raja was unaffected by the sword strike because of the magic placed on his body. The sorcerer threw Raja out of the house. Raja ordered his men to kill the sorcerer, but the sorcerer was stronger than them all. The sorcerer proved to be skilled in martial arts and was able to defeat them all easily. Raja was shocked by what he saw. The sorcerer told him, "You don't deserve to be the emperor," then flew at Raja and cut off his head. From then on, the sorcerer became the new emperor of the city, and everyone submitted to him in fear. Meanwhile, Ting continued his training naturally. He bowed to a beggar who was with someone asking about Ting's location. It turned out he was one of the sorcerer's men. A group of the sorcerer's men surrounded Ting and tried to attack him, but they couldn't harm him. All their attacks were in vain. Ting had now become calm in his fighting, letting his mind control him. He used a new fighting style and defeated them all. Ting ran to the village and found all the people there dead. He was deeply saddened by the sight. More of the sorcerer's men arrived, and Ting dealt with them skillfully, controlling the anger within him. He delivered powerful strikes that finished them off in seconds. Afterward, he shaved his beard and went to meet the monk, who encouraged him, saying, "You can fight the sorcerer and rid us of him." The monk gave Ting his staff. Meanwhile, the sorcerer enslaved the village elders, and those who refused to work were killed. Among the slaves was Bomb. The sorcerer's men killed an elephant so the sorcerer could drink its blood. Suddenly, Ting appeared to confront the sorcerer. The sorcerer told Ting, "No one can stop me, and your life will end by my hands." He cast a spell in the sky, hiding the sun. The villagers were terrified. Bam wanted to escape and go to Ting, but the sorcerer caught her and slaughtered her in front of Ting. Ting became enraged, losing his composure, unable to believe his friend Bomb had died. Without hesitation, he attacked the sorcerer's men. Anger and vengeance blinded his heart as he struck them all down with ferocity, using his combat skills to eliminate them one by one. Due to the large number of soldiers, he climbed onto an elephant to fight from above, avoiding being overwhelmed. He took a spear from the soldiers, striking them down and piercing their hearts, killing many of them. The soldiers were powerless to stop Ting's fiery wrath. He used the elephant to knock down a large rock onto them. The sorcerer decided to intervene, stabbing Ting in the chest with a spear. The sorcerer told him, "I feed and draw my strength from the anger within you. You will never defeat me." But it turned out that everything that had happened was an illusion created by the sorcerer in Ting's mind to control and kill him. Ting broke free from these hallucinations thanks to his recent mental training. It was revealed that Bam was alive and hadn't died. The sorcerer was shocked that Ting had freed himself from the illusions. As soon as Ting broke the sorcerer's spell, the sky lit up again, and the soldiers fell to the ground as they woke from the sorcerer's spell, which had controlled their minds. The sorcerer was stunned, unable to believe what had happened. Ting approached him, and the final fight began. Ting was calm, the opposite of the sorcerer, who was in a fit of rage. Ting dominated the fight entirely. However, the sorcerer gathered his strength and delivered strong blows to Ting, knocking him down. The sorcerer thought he might defeat Ting and threw a spear at him, but Ting caught the spear, saving himself just before it touched his neck. Ting attacked the sorcerer with all his might, causing the sorcerer to fall onto the elephant's tusk, killing him. Thus, Ting triumphed, saving the city from the sorcerer's evil. He continued his life with Bam, whom he loved and who loved him. And this brings us to the end of the Ongbak movie trilogy. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an update.